Today's topic was inspired by some preparations that I was doing to be interviewed on a podcast as a guest on someone else's show, which I will mention at the end, as well as a link below in the description. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about how artificial intelligence is already playing a role today in video marketing, and you may not even realize that it's occurring. So stick with me and I will review 3 ways that artificial intelligence is already playing a part in your video marketing strategy, whether you're creating content or you're watching someone else's content. And once you hear these, you might have an aha moment, so stick with me. Thanks for joining me today. If you're joining me on YouTube, thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are returning and listening to me on my podcast, Connect the Dots, thank you so much for listening on your preferred platform of choice. Today, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and the impact it has on video marketing and how it's playing a role in today's video, whether you're creating content or you're watching someone else's content. But first, a real quick review. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is a repetitive behavior that is created from machine learning, which is based on what you do. So I kind of backed into that, right? So machine learning is basically what you're doing on your computer or on your phone to create habits and trends and patterns of your behavior to tell the machine, i.e. algorithm, what type of content you want to see. So if we look at YouTube as an example, once you first create a channel or once you log on to YouTube, or even if you go to an incognito window and you pull up YouTube, you're going to see very generic content, nothing related to you at all, right? YouTube is saying you're new to this platform. We don't know what you want yet, but we're going to figure it out. We just need you to play a part in how we can help you get the type of content that you want to see. Now, of course, they can't do that instantaneously because they need some data. They need some information. They need to understand what type of content you're really interested in, and not just one time, but they want to start building up a pattern of behavior to better understand so that they can deliver the best content to you based on your history. So you are the starting point of any type of artificial intelligence. And again, we're using YouTube as the example. So once you start searching for content and watching videos and clicking around and starting to understand what type of content you really enjoy or really want to see on YouTube, then you're going to start to notice each time you go to YouTube and you're logged in, you're going to start to see videos that correlate or are relevant to previous content or videos that you've watched. So an example that I've mentioned before is that one of my favorite channels to watch on YouTube is the Dodo channel. They are one of my favorites because they rescue animals. They show the before, the after, the happiness, the fostering, the adoption. And to me, that just brings me complete and total happiness. When I first got on YouTube, they had no clue. I didn't even have a clue because I didn't know the channel existed at that point. But once I found it and I started clicking on it and watching it more, now when I go on to YouTube, there's always a Dodo channel video there for me to watch and peruse at my disposal and when I have time. But it's always there, right? And those videos will change over time based on the type of content and videos that I'm watching. So if I subscribe to a new channel, then I'm going to see their latest videos there. And if I start to click on those, then it's telling YouTube, the machine learning, that I want to see more of those types of videos. So then I will start to see more of those, right? So the machine learning is learning my patterns of behavior. The artificial intelligence part of that comes into once you've established that through the machine, meaning your computer or your phone, the artificial intelligence is basically saying a human or artificial human behind the scenes is now going to push that type of content to your homepage or to your log on to that screen so that you can start to see that type of content. So artificial intelligence is just a machine learning repetition of behavior that presents information based on historical data. So it's all based on data, right? So it's important to understand this from a video marketing perspective. One, for the reasons that I mentioned, is that it's building up a pattern of behavior. And part of that is, one, the quality of your video content. So if you're on YouTube and people talk about the algorithm and, getting more views and likes and exposure and watch time, all of that is playing into what's actually going to be presented to future or people who log in. So if you've watched my videos before, then you're going to go to YouTube and you're likely going to see my latest video or a video that's relevant to a previous topic that you've talked about show up when you first log in, right? So that's the artificial intelligence playing its part into what it's presenting you on YouTube. The second thing that's important to know about artificial intelligence and video marketing is how quickly and how relevant your data and statistics are behind the scenes once you've released it. Now, this might sound familiar from a marketing perspective, right? So there's going to be a lot of synergies between just your marketing and video marketing. It's very similar. I wanted to focus on video marketing so that as you're starting to create your videos, wink, wink, that you understand that there's an artificial intelligence component going on behind the scenes if you're uploading it to YouTube, and even if you're on TikTok or Instagram Reels. The third thing that I wanted to mention about artificial intelligence and video marketing is the importance of its role in the customer journey and making those decisions at each point along the know, like, trust, buy, retain process. So if you are posting your videos on YouTube and someone does a Google search, then your content is going to be more likely to be seen in that Google search if they're looking for your type of content, right? So a lot of times Google is just focused on your blog posts or your text or, other forms of SEO or paid advertising if that's what you do. But your videos now are becoming an increasingly important role in just Google searches above and beyond what you're doing on YouTube. So it's important to think beyond your strategy of just creating videos, because there's so much more at play when it comes to creating and marketing and monetizing and repurposing and doing all of the good things that you can with your video content. So I want to make sure that I shared those with you so that as you start your video marketing, your video branding, your video content journey, that you keep that in mind, that the consistency, the quality, the follow through, the engagement, the relevancy of your keywords and where you're putting your video is going to be extremely important and just something to keep in mind as you move forward. If that's something that you want my help with, whether it's thinking through the artificial intelligence piece and where that plays a part in your existing marketing so that you can find ways to save time and money and outsource those to other more artificial intelligence technology type tools and companies, I would be more than happy to do that. Or if you just want help with your video marketing strategy, I would love to help you with that as well. The podcast that I mentioned at the beginning that I wanted to make sure I mentioned before we end this video was a podcast guest episode that I'm going to be on, AI Nerd, which is a really cool podcast. It's amazing how many different views and directions and experts and just different viewpoints there are on artificial intelligence. So it's a really great podcast to listen to if you want to get the 411 on all things AI nerd like. So AI Nerd, I will include the link to the podcast below. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time and you investing it in this channel. You can access the show notes at vickyo'neill.com/podcast. This is episode 122. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I will include a link to the podcast and everything else below in the description. And until next time, make today great.